We begin in Israel. Independence Day. On the brink of peace. In Israel's remotest area in the south, Sharm el-Sheikh, Israeli soldiers and civilians celebrate by saying goodbye to their Bedouin friends who have lived in the Sinai for hundreds of years and who now, as part of the peace treaty, will come under the sovereignty of Egypt. But what about the Jewish citizens of Israel who live in the Sinai and whose land will soon become Egyptian territory? About 250 kilometers north of Sharm el-Sheikh is the town of Yamit. Yamit was established shortly after the Six-Day War of 1967 as an outpost in the Sinai. Settlers came from all over the country to challenge the desert, just as an earlier generation had challenged the Negev. In a little more than a decade, they created a brand new town, as well as a number of settlements and farm communities that are the envy of all Israel. A few kilometers away from Yamit is one of these settlements, called Sadot.
And what do you think will happen now?
I don't know. I don't know. We only know that we have to leave the place 2 or 3 years from now. We don't know where we are going to go, or we haven't yet decided where we want to go.
Mom, can you dance? We here in the settlements, whether we agree with the peace treaty or not, we still have our children. There's a certain hopefulness that you want to educate your children towards. And you can't have the rest of the country with peace, and we are at the wayside. Peace is very much a state of mind. You're educated towards peace. We are separate individual farms that have formed a cooperative, and everyone farms his own land, decides what he wants to grow, when he wants to grow, and how he wants to grow, with the least amount of water, because water is worth its weight in gold here. Our water comes all the way from the Sea of Galilee, which is over 600 kilometers away. When we first came to Moshav Sadot, we received a 2-bedroom house. Since the majority of the people have 3 children or more, it's a small-size house. So the majority of us have built on. As the years went by, people went and built really quite beautiful villas. And then when Sadat came to Jerusalem, most of the people decided that they'd just stop and wait. And so you see what we call the monuments, homes that are, they're not here and they're not there, incompleted. But it's very hard for the people here. They're bitter. You know, you've put 8 years of sweat and tears and love into something that you're going to see your children and your grandchildren and your children's grandchildren live and stay, and then all of a sudden it's just wiped out. Because I'm sure it's just going to go back to the desert. I'm positive of that.
If this is the price of peace, I think I don't mind starting all over again, so my son won't have to go to a war or fight or die like, yes, I do. And if you don't give a chance to the peace, so it's never going to start nowhere.
Life is very important to us Jewish people. And if I have to put on one side my son, the other side Yamit, which is very, very dear to me, I'll definitely will say my son. If there is a chance, I do not say people do not believe that will bring ultimate peace. But even if there's slightest chance for peace, they have to pay the price, to hope and pray that this will bring peace.
For Israelis, part of the price of peace is moving these settlements. As Americans, our traditional responsibility is to help meet the humanitarian needs involved, just as we have over the years in resettling so many other displaced Jews. So peace brings new problems. But other problems, older problems, are no less urgent. It's a bitter irony that on the brink of peace, Israel's cities should still be scarred by slums. Most of these slums are populated by Jews from Arab countries, Morocco, Tunisia, Iraq, Yemen. Unlike Jews from the West, they were always outcasts in their native lands, politically, economically, culturally, religiously. For them, coming to Israel meant an opportunity for total redemption. When they arrived in the 1940s and 50s, they embraced their new land with a fervor and completeness that astonished the older generation of Israeli pioneers. What went wrong? Why do these immigrants remain outside the mainstream of Israeli society? Mayor Shlomo Lahat of Tel Aviv offers one explanation.
Hatikva is a neighborhood, a part of Tel Aviv, and it's considered as a very difficult slums area. There is a lot of crime here, drug pushers, prostitutes, poverty. It took us a while to understand that the problem started with the second generation. Why? Because in the first generation, each group came from its own country, with its own tradition, with its own culture, with its own manners. And they contributed their part and their share to the common culture. But there was also a clash between two cultures, the Western culture and the Oriental one. And the Western dominates the other one. When the second generation started, the youngsters with an Oriental background, because lack of this kind of culture from their parents, lost their old culture and couldn't enter and adjust themselves to the new one. And here is the problem. The UGA Federation of New York City decided to adopt Shkunat Hatikva, to give approximately $50 million in a length of time of 5 years, and to enter into project renewal. And I believe that with a common effort, we will do it.
One of the programs of Project Renewal involves the Sinvani family. Adina and her husband, Yisachar Sinvani, came to Israel from Yemen in 1950. The Sinvanis live in 2 rooms in Hatikva with their 3 children and Yisachar's infirm father. Yisachar is a street cleaner. Neither he nor Adina have had much formal education, but through one of the programs of Project Renewal, Adina is taking a step that may break the vicious cycle which has kept families like theirs trapped in the slums. One morning a week, Adina attends a special class for mothers of kindergarten-age children, where the mothers go over the very same lessons that their children are studying.
When the mother sees another mother just like her who's had no more education than she has, and who is able to rise to be a leader, it gives her an incentive too. Education is the stepping stone. Many of these mothers are illiterate, and suddenly she finds that she is able to be the teacher of her own child. 15 minutes of a mother's attention per day can contribute more to the child's development than hours of instruction in a group, in a nursery, school environment. And this gives the mother a great feeling of pride that her child should be better than she was. We've taken the first step.
Brighton Beach is a long way from Hatikva, and yet here too there is a problem of integrating 2 groups of Jews from different backgrounds. Over the years, Brighton was deserted by young people. As children grew up, they moved away, leaving their parents and grandparents behind. Despite the beauty of its natural setting, Brighton seemed ready to join the scrap heap of burned-out neighborhoods. Then something very unexpected happened. As the Soviet Union loosens its grip on its Jewish citizens, the flow of refugees has built to a torrent of over 60,000 Jews a year who are seeking new lands where they can live freely as Jews. Many, of course, go to Israel, but many others come to the United States, and especially to New York City. It's not been easy, not for the community and not for the individual families, but it is working. And one reason is that the Shorefront Y has become the melting pot of the two communities. Project Ari, a specially designed social service program for Russian immigrants, is housed on the second floor of the Y. Project Ari works to serve the community by giving them concrete information and referral services. They will help people find apartments and jobs. They help get clients to the right offices of the city, whether it's welfare, food stamps, or a driver's license. Just about any type of service that would be needed by someone moving into a new community.
I came to United States in the end of 1975 year. I came with my wife Irene and her father and mother. They already have jobs and they're supporting themselves. But they don't speak English well. That's why we're bringing them to Shorefront Y. And little by little they're getting involved and they get to know where they have dances and they can communicate with American people and they can a little bit learn English first and second of all to get into society. When I came to the United States, I started to work at the gas station for $92 a week. Then I decided that I have to go back to school to continue my education. Luckily, I got a scholarship from New York University because I was a fencing champion in Russia, and now I'm studying business administration and management. And now I'm a first man in the foil team in NYU. When we came from Russia, Hayes provided transportation to the United States, and then we were taken over by Nayana. Nayana provided us help in any aspect that you can imagine. They provided us help in medical assistance. They provided help in educational. That means they gave us possibility to learn language. They help us with money to pay apartment rent for first 5-6 months. That we needed.
In Russia, I was an elementary school teacher, and when I came to United States, the only job what I could find, it was a cashier in a department store. It was very difficult for me to find a job as a teacher, but finally I found a job in Kingsbury, where I am an assistant teacher. My daughter Galit goes to kindergarten in Y, and I am very happy about this.
What is this for? Tell the children. A tzedakah box. What's this for?
The children learn a lot about Judaism, and they celebrate Shabbat. They learn Hebrew songs. I never even knew what is this, to go to synagogue, to celebrate holidays, you know. And I never had a chance even to think about this in Russia.
What am I putting on you? That's right. Hold my hand.
Usually we get together with our family on Friday because we celebrate Shabbat. I had everything in Russia. A car and a job and a house and furniture, everything. But it wasn't enough. I wanted to live in a country where you can read Jewish newspaper, when you can see Jewish movies, when you can just say, I am Jewish, that's it.
The Chait family has made a new start in a new country. In the years ahead, many more thousands will come to New York. And every year, many millions of dollars will be needed to absorb them. But what of Jews who still remain in the old countries? Countries like Romania. Dorohoi might strike a casual visitor as just a typical small Romanian city. It's a busy commercial center in the Carpathian Mountains quite close to the Russian border. But when you take a closer look, you discover the other Dorohoi, a shtetl that has somehow survived the past, where 600 Jews live in a neighborhood cloistered around the two remaining synagogues. Before the Second World War, Dorohoi was virtually an all-Jewish town. Of its 10,000 inhabitants, 8,000 were Jews. It had 54 synagogues. In the early morning, just before services in those days, the streets of Dorohoi teemed with Jews of every kind, each hurrying to his favorite synagogue to pray. But even now, the flame of Jewish life has not been extinguished. The community is diminishing, but it's not dead. Rabbi Shmuel Wasserman is one of 3 remaining rabbis in all of Romania. He serves also as the cantor and leader of the community.
Bye, 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 Anuruchiz, will ich make a dish yatiru anuaymar, anuaymar, anu, anuaymar, tis bechor. Yeah.
Only the cemetery remains as it was, a memorial to the community that was, and only the elderly are left to mourn for the dead. Of the 800,000 Jews who lived in Romania before the war, only 40,000 remain today. This street was once the hub of the commercial life of Dorohoi. One shop remains in Jewish hands. Frida and Paul Katz carry on with their hat business as they have for 40 years, living in one room behind their shop. Their children are grown and have moved to Israel, but the Katzes feel that they are too old to follow.
Ingel is in Israel. In Israel and Rehovot.
We have a son and a daughter. The boy is in Israel. He completed his studies in the university here. He was the best in mathematics, and now he is teaching at the Weizmann Institute. We will go to Israel someday, but on a visit. For us, it's too late.
Because the elderly are all traditional Jews, the availability of kosher food is an essential of Jewish life in a town like Dorohoi. And so the Jewish community of Romania, with the help of the Joint Distribution Committee, subsidizes a kosher restaurant. Each day at noon, those who cannot cook for themselves come for a hot meal. It is not the food alone that sustains them. It is the companionship they find here and the sense that they are not forgotten. The restaurant even delivers meals to those who are too old or infirm to leave their homes. Maya Freshner had a stroke 2 years ago. This one hot meal a day is literally what keeps him and his wife alive.
You're very young.
There's even an old age home. As Romanian citizens, the elderly are entitled to government care, but they prefer to live as Jews in a Jewish home. So the JDC supports a separate facility in order that these old people may live out their years without compromising their faith. JDC's work in Dorohoi is just one small part of its vast network of programs to help Jews in need all over the world. Perhaps because the Jewish community of Dorohoi may disappear in another decade, the need to nurture the Jewish spirit among their children is urgent. Virtually all 42 children in Dorohoi attend the Jewish school, the Talmud Torah. You know that the basis of the existence of the Jewish people is the Talmud Torah. The Talmud says a town without a Hebrew school cannot exist for long. Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time, a fox, the smartest of animals, came upon a school of fish in a pond. Why don't you come out and live on dry land with me, asked the fox. You have nothing to be afraid of. So then one of the fish calls out, you're supposed to be the smallest of animals. Well, I don't see that you're so smart. If we're afraid even here in the water, which sustains us, what would happen to us if we went up on dry land? We would die immediately. So it is with the Jewish people. Even when we have our Torah, we are in danger. Without the Torah, we are completely lost.
Lechem. Chaim.
And so Baruch Greenstein's bar mitzvah is not just a routine occasion for a celebration. It is a solemn avowal of the faith that must sustain him. The children of Dorohoi sing of David and Moses, leaders of the Jewish people who are, for them, eternally alive. For them, our people are indeed one, and so it must be for us. We end where we began, at the Y here in Brighton. You know, it took a long time for me to realize what a vital link there is between this Y and places like Yamit and Hatikva and Dorohoi and 1,000 other places all over the world where there are Jews. It took a long time for me to realize that if we turn away from our fellow Jews anywhere, we turn away from ourselves too. That's why this joint campaign between the United Jewish Appeal and the Federation of Jewish Philanthropies is so important. It's a way of expressing our faith in deeds. A little while ago here at the Y, you could see how the campaign works to meet the needs of one particular group, helping Russian refugees reestablish a new life in this community. Come around to a Y like this any day of the week and you will find programs that serve the whole community.
The bus will be late.
Senior citizens waiting for a bus that will take them to a Federation-supported summer camp. A nursery school for the children of working parents. A wide variety of programs for teenagers. Subsidized lunches for senior citizens. A program for single parents, a group whose needs have rarely been recognized. And the Y is only one agency in the network of agencies Federation supports. To name all of the others would be to name every human need in our community. When we turn to the problems of Jews in Israel and in 25 other countries all over the world, It's the agencies of the United Jewish Appeal that act for us. Today, on the brink of peace, dissident prisoners of conscience from the Soviet Union lead the stream of immigrants into Israel and other countries of the free world. The task of resettling these newcomers in Israel is especially urgent because they are a highly educated group important to the future of the people of Israel. At the same time, through Project Renewal, Israel's most neglected citizens must be brought into the mainstream of its economic and social life. And as a direct result of the peace treaty, many new social services must be provided to resettle people in communities like Yamit and Sadot, all in the face of a staggering inflation. Everywhere in the world there are Jews in trouble who need our help. Give generously to the UJA Federation Joint Campaign. The needs have never been greater.